Hi, my name is Jason Lee, and I'll be presenting using D2L in the math classroom for MAD PD. So, a little bit about myself. I teach math, civics, and business at Vaughan Secondary School, which is in the York Region District School Board. And I'm here because I believe in the power of technology to increase student engagement and student learning. So first, I'd like to talk about blended learning and taking your classroom digital. So blended learning, it's a combination or blend of face-to-face and online learning. So what D2L does, and especially in this time of COVID-19, classroom teachers now can create online learning spaces with their face-to-face classes using the same provincial virtual learning environment, VLE, that e-learning teachers and students access. So a bit about D2L, Desire to Learn, that is the name of the company. And the the platform is called Brightspace, and it brings e-learning Ontario's curriculum, content, and activities into our schools. Or right now, it brings it into, our students' homes. Now, what do e-learning courses look like? To preview courses and content available from eLearning Ontario, what you have to do is you have to go to courses.elearning.ca. And then what you can do is for the username, you you type in preview underscore public and password is preview. So I'll show you how that works out. And then here's where you type in the username and password. Now, let me just go through the math courses that are offered. And what you find is some of the math courses are better than others on the D2L platform because they're more recent. For example, I taught MAT2L, Mathematics Locally Developed course, and this was done in 2007. So what I found was when I was teaching my essentials class, some of the links did not work well, actually did not work. So I put the dates for the more recent ones. What I'm using to teach my applied grade 10 applied math, MFM2P, Foundations of Math, this was done just 2 years ago. So I'm going to show you what it looks like, but you'll but what you find is the material is very up to date and uses a lot of multimedia functions. So let's go to the actual D2L site. So here are courses, and here is the Foundations of Math course. So let's click that. And what you'll see is you have this is a home page. You have the content, classroom tools, e-portfolio, resources, and then you're able to edit the course here. So let's go take a look at the content. So you could see you have a podcast page. So what it allows students to do is they can actually listen to it on their radio. Um, so let's take a look at the first unit so you get some idea of what it looks like. So unit one is to understand is to perceive patterns. First, it gives you an overview, and then you click go to activity. And if you look at it, it has the introduction and it has all the different activities. So here you have 7 activities, and then at the end you have the summative. So let's click the first activity, linear and nonlinear patterns. And what you'll notice is it does a 3-part lesson. So what I've found is really works well with the students because it first in it has the minds on activity, and then it gets students to do a reflection. And what I like is it in especially to in this time we want our students to be engaged. And so it has like YouTube videos, TED Talks, and basically the instructional design is really done well. So you have interactive activities, okay? And so for example, this one, what do you think? Is this a pattern or not a pattern? So the student tries it and gets an immediate feedback, and they go on. So you can see the instructional design is done really well. It's very interactive. And so that gives you some idea of what it's like. Now, what I also like about it too is that it links to different educational technology tools. Like for example, here's the link to clips. And so then you would use activities using clips. Uh, Another activity, for example, it links to Desmos. So for example, and I'll show you Desmos here. So it would link to Desmos, and then students would be able to do the graphs digitally because it's very difficult, especially with online learning, to do it by hand and taking pictures. I find it much easier for students to do it digitally. One thing you can also consider when using D2L is combining it with Google Classroom. So that's what I did with my D2L class. I combined it with a Google Classroom. So it gives the, and so as you can see, Unit 1 is the different activities, the 7 activities. I found the advantage of putting it on the Google Classroom is then I could use like Google Docs. And so with Google Docs, then you can have students working together on activities. And so I find, there are advantages to having students submit the work on Google Classroom because students are much more familiar with the Google Classroom interface than the D2L interface. So that's why I've been having them do the assessments and evaluations on Google Classroom. So let's go back. And so in this slide, I list the grade 9 and 10 courses and with the connections, links to the courses on D2L. And it also has, the grade 11 math courses, including college, the academic courses, and then the grade 12 U course, grade 12 college courses, and also the E course for math too. And so this is a sample preview page. So earlier, in the slide I showed you how you can take a look at the preview. And then this is how you log in. So let's go into the login part of D2L and how to do that. So if you go here, let's go into my course. Okay. And you can see my board YRDSB, and I go here, submit. And because I logged in earlier, you can see that it goes right into my course. But basically, to log in, you would be logging in using, in my case, my board GAPS account. And so you could see using your credentials. And now you could see when I showed you the D2L earlier that it was all populated. And that's a big advantage of D2L, because all the materials already there, which was designed by an instructional designer, along with a math teacher who was hired to design to develop the curriculum. But you can also use the content tool to store and organize your course materials for early, flexible, easy, flexible student access. You can do it chronologically, by theme, and etc. So you can decide, well, you could use their framework, but basically populate it yourself. But from my experience, I found it easier just to use the material that was already provided by D2L, especially with the course I was teaching. The material is very recent and current. Um, in York region, um, what teachers do is they go here and they request access, and the DLRT is the one that sets it up and gives you access and populates the your course code with the materials that you saw earlier. So just go a bit through the content tool. You can create content from scratch or upload existing resources from your computer, like Google Drive. There's What's really good about it is there is a heavy focus on curricular expectations, and this is directly from the Ontario documents. Go through the activity feed for K to 12. Um, what it does is it reduces learner anxiety. So let's go through it. Let me show you the activity feed. And so I'll show it from the business course that I have, and you can see here like posts that I made. So this is my activity feed right here. And what does the activity feed do? It reduces learner anxiety. You post course news, reminders at any time to keep your students in the know. Saves yourself time because you schedule posts for a later date while planning out your schedule. You are able to engage and interact with students. Social media inspired comments feature resembles a familiar news feed functionality. And there's a one-stop shop, so efficiently link course materials, share resources, create assignments on the fly. And so that's just a quick summary. If you have any questions, feel free to either email me. My email address is jason.lay um, at gapps.yrdsb.ca. And I'm very active on Twitter. So my Twitter handle is jlay, JLAY, and that's 02. So jlay02. Okay, great. So thank you very much for listening to my presentation today.